Chapter 1. I climbed the mountain all night in the pouring rain, searching desperately. I couldn't find the bracelet my fiancé and his childhood sweetheart had supposedly lost during their camping trip. Soaking wet and exhausted, I was finally called back down the mountain by a phone call. My fiancé, Sam, sat in the back seat of the car, speaking casually. Lily got it wrong. Her bracelet was in her bag the whole time. Thanks for your hard work tonight. Beside him, Lily rested her chin on Sam's arm, clinging to him coquettishly. Sorry, sis-in-law. I made a mistake and made you search all day and night. I ignored her, shivering from the cold, my gaze fixed on Sam's sharp and handsome face. Desperately, I pleaded. When are we leaving? I bought the tickets. My dad, he doesn't have much time left. Sam frowned at me, his cold voice cutting through the rain like a knife. It was just a joke. Did you actually take it seriously? Don't think I don't know. This is all part of a scheme you and your family cooked up to trick me into marrying you, isn't it? His mocking gaze pierced straight through my chest like a dagger. I opened my mouth, trembling, trying to respond. Suddenly, Lily coughed delicately, covering her chest with a hand. Sam's attention instantly shifted to her, his tone soft with concern. What's wrong? Did you catch a chill? I told you not to come and get involved. The bracelet was found. A phone call would have been enough. But you insisted on coming. Don't you know how fragile your body is? Sam glanced at me briefly and said nonchalantly, Ruby, walk back by yourself. You're soaking wet. You'll just dirty the car. I blinked as the rain ran down my face. I leaned on the car window, begging, Sam, you said you'd go with me. You promised. Sam pried my hand away with disdain. Ruby, have some self-respect. Are you really this desperate to get married? Then he ordered the driver, and the car sped away without hesitation. I staggered and fell to the ground, staring blankly at the faint light breaking through the sky. Suddenly, my phone rang sharply. My mother's anguished voice screamed through the receiver. Your dad is gone. Come back now. Tears burst from my eyes. I struggled to stand, only to collapse onto the ground again, losing consciousness entirely. By the time I returned home, 2 days had passed. My father's body was laid out in the hall. My mother, red-eyed and grief-stricken, slapped me twice. You're useless. You let your father die with regret. Even on his deathbed, he just wanted to see you get married. 10 years of dating. Ruby, 10 years. You're absolutely worthless. I had no words. Kneeling on the ground, I had no more tears left to cry. Sam and I were college sweethearts, dating from freshman year until graduation. Now, 10 years have passed, yet I remain nothing more than his so-called fiancé. I wanted to get married before turning 30, to fulfill my terminally ill father's last wish. But every time I brought it up, Sam always had an excuse to refuse. Things became even worse after his childhood sweetheart, Lily, returned from abroad. This time, when my father was critically ill, I begged Sam to accompany me home. I endured his endless difficulties, and in return, I was met with mockery and humiliation, and I didn't even get to see my father one last time. I regret it. If I had known it would come to this, why did I waste 10 years of my life with Sam? That night, while keeping vigil over my father's body, Sam called. His tone was as indifferent as ever. Where the hell are you? The house is full of trash, and you didn't even bother to clean up. Chapter 2. I replied hoarsely. The cleaning lady's contact is on the fridge. Call her. I don't have time. Sam didn't say a word. A moment later, I heard a loud crash on the other end of the line. Ruby, you're really something. You're throwing a tantrum for days over something so trivial? If I don't see you at home tomorrow, we're done. I stayed silent for a moment before replying slowly. Fine. Before I could say another word, Sam hung up on me. I knew he was angry again. In the past, this was when I'd lower my head and apologize, because in this relationship, Sam had never once compromised. But now, I was tired. Let it be. The day I returned to the city, I saw Lily's latest social media post. The photos showed blue skies and white clouds. Sam had his arm around Lily's shoulders, smiling intimately as they leaned into each other. Finally got enough people to play this murder mystery game I've been wanting to try. What a coincidence. I'd mentioned this very same game to Sam twice before. The first time, he brushed it off casually. The second time, he snapped at me. Ruby, how old are you? Do you think you're still a kid? All you ever want to do is play, play, play. If you're not tired of it. I am. Can't you think about me for once? Turns out, it's a completely different story with someone else. That evening, I returned to my apartment. I found that at some point, the door lock had been replaced with an electronic one. As the sky grew darker and colder, I called Sam 10 times, but he didn't answer. On the 11th call, I gave up and called a locksmith. The locksmith arrived with his tools just as Sam and Lily returned. Sam walked up to me briskly, his tone dripping with mockery. I thought you died out there and weren't coming back for good. He glanced at the locksmith, his expression turning cold. Why the hell did you call a locksmith? I looked at him calmly and replied, I called you 10 times, and you didn't answer. I thought you weren't coming back, so I had the locksmith open the door. Sam paused for a moment, then justified himself as if he was in the right. My phone died. I didn't say anything more, nor did I ask why he didn't send me the new password. After paying the locksmith for his time, I stood quietly to the side. Sam hesitated, seeming like he wanted to say something but stopped himself. Suddenly, Lily let out an exaggerated "oh no," and leaned against the wall, gasping for air. Sam, my heart feels a little uncomfortable. Sam didn't bother responding to me and hastened to unlock the door. The moment we stepped inside, I finally understood the conflicted look on his face earlier. This home now had a lot of someone else's things. Lily's flashy high heels practically filled the entire shoe rack. Sam spoke casually. Lily's been living alone and got stalked, so I brought her over to stay for a few days. She'll move out once she finds a new place. After saying that, he glanced at me warily, as if bracing for an outburst. I gave him a smile. How about letting her stay in the master bedroom? I cleaned it a couple of days ago. Chapter 3. I meant what I said. But Sam's face instantly darkened. Ruby, stop messing around. Lily's only staying for a few days. Once she finds a place, she'll leave. She's like a little sister to me. Could you really bear to see her wandering homeless? Lily gently tugged at Sam's sleeve. Sam, maybe I should just go. There are hotels nearby where I can stay for the night. Please don't argue with your fiancé because of me. As she spoke, her eyes reddened, and she looked at me pitifully. Sis-in-law, there's really nothing going on between me and Sam. Please don't misunderstand. I smiled faintly. Sam shot me a fierce glare. If there was anything between Lily and me, you wouldn't have even had a chance 10 years ago. Lily, stay here as long as you want. If she dares to give you attitude, just let me know. Half embracing Lily, Sam led her to the guest room. I turned and went into the master bedroom. On the dressing table sat a small notebook, no bigger than the palm of my hand. Inside, it detailed 10 years of bank transfers Sam had made to Lily. It was 3 years into my relationship with Sam when I learned about his frail childhood sweetheart. I never doubted him, nor did I know that while he claimed to be broke, he had been sending most of his salary to Lily while she studied abroad. The two of us struggled in a big city, living in a basement, eating instant noodles. When I fell ill, I could only take the cheapest medicine to get by. On my birthdays, we couldn't even afford a 6-inch cake. I lived like that for 7 long years. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was a WeChat message from Lily. Sis-in-law, I think I might have left something in the master bedroom. Did you see it? I didn't reply. Chapter 4. The next morning, Sam and Lily went to the office together. Not long after Lily returned to the country, Sam immediately gave her the position of his assistant. As for me, the former assistant, I was reassigned to the sales department. Lily had messed up multiple times, delaying work and drawing criticism from colleagues. Sam, in his rage to defend her, fired the senior colleague who complained. Now everyone knew Sam and Lily's relationship was anything but ordinary. It reminded me of the time it was pouring rain, and I begged him to drop me off at the company entrance. He refused outright. Company policy prohibits office romances. As the boss, I need to lead by example. Since then, no matter how bad the weather was, I never asked to ride in his car again, now that I'd decided to leave him. Thinking about these moments didn't stir any emotions in me anymore. If we were going to separate, I wanted a clean break. I started packing up my belongings. Years of clothes and other items fit neatly into a 26-inch suitcase, more than enough. Those early years had been so hard that frugality had become second nature to me. I also found the ring I had saved up for years to buy, intending to return it. At the jewelry store, while the clerk was inspecting the ring, Sam called me. "Ruby, where are you?" "I'm busy," I answered casually. Sam's voice dropped, clearly trying to suppress his anger. "Turn around." Instinctively, I turned to see Sam and Lily walking into the store together. When Sam saw the ring in the clerk's hands, his expression changed immediately. "You came to the jewelry store to buy a ring?" "Ruby, how many times do I have to tell you? I have no intention of getting married right now. Do you really think buying a ring and trying to propose will make me say yes?" "Ruby, this kind of behavior is no different from coercion." I opened my mouth to speak, but before I could say anything, Lily joined in, looking indignant. "Ruby, no matter what, something as serious as marriage should at least be discussed with Sam first." "You're both absolutely right," I said, nodding in agreement. Then I turned to the clerk, who had been silently observing the drama. "Is the inspection done? If there are no issues, please process the refund." Chapter 5. Sam and Lily froze in place. After the refund was processed, I stood up and left. Sam chased after me, grabbing my hand. "Ruby, wait a minute. Were you returning the ring?" I pulled my hand free, my tone calm. "Didn't you already see it yourself?" Sam frowned. "When did you buy the ring? How come I didn't know?" I smiled faintly. "There's no point in discussing that now. Lily is waiting for you. I'll be going." I turned to leave, but Sam gripped my hand even tighter. He stared at my face for a long moment before asking, almost curiously, "Ruby, I brought Lily to this place. Why are you so calm? What kind of reaction are you expecting? For me to cry, scream, get jealous of Lily, and question you? But isn't that exactly what you hate the most?" I smiled again and walked away. That evening, Sam brought me a platinum necklace adorned with gemstones. He opened the box, took out the necklace, and fastened it around my neck. Then he kissed me gently on the cheek. "Sweetheart, here's a necklace for now. In a little while, I'll buy you a ring, okay?" I've heard this line countless times over the past 10 years. I nodded. "Okay." Then I removed the necklace and put it back in the box. Sam hesitated, his gaze drifting to the dressing table. His expression froze when he noticed something. "Where did all the things on the table go?" he asked, confused. "I threw them away," I replied. "They were too old. I thought I'd try something new." I didn't mention my plans to leave, and Sam, as usual, asked casually and didn't seem to really care. 3 days later, I received confirmation of my resignation. That night, the company's year-end party took place. In the past, Sam never bothered to remind me about these events. This time was no different. I was browsing for train tickets online when I came across Lily's latest social media post. "Boss is taking me out to see the world. So nervous." In the photo, a finely dressed woman in an elegant gown stood on a balcony, her wrist adorned with a striking bracelet. I shot up from my seat, staring hard at the bracelet in the picture. That bracelet was my family heirloom, a gift from my father after he met Sam and believed I had found the one. I had kept it in my drawer, but now it was on Lily's wrist. Wearing simple casual clothes, I headed to the banquet hall. By the time I arrived, the party was nearly over, and most people had left. Ignoring the curious stares, I walked straight to Sam. Lily noticed me first and called out sweetly, "Ruby, why are you dressed like that?" I walked closer, getting a clear view of the bracelet on her wrist. Completely oblivious, Lily held up her wrist to show off. "Isn't it beautiful?" Sam gave it to me. I couldn't hold back anymore. Grabbing her hair, I slapped her across the face. "You dare hit me!" Lily screamed at the top of her lungs. The people who had started to leave stopped in their tracks. staying to watch the drama unfold. Sam hurried over and pulled me back. Ruby, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Do you have no sense of occasion? His grip was so tight it hurt my hand. In return, I slapped him across the face. Sam stared at me in disbelief. Ruby, you've completely lost it. Tears welled in my eyes, but I smiled bitterly. A rich boss like you, using his fiancé's family heirloom to spoil his mistress. Have I been too patient all this time, letting you think I'm easy to bully? This bracelet is my late father's keepsake. Sam, how could you dare? Sam's face froze in shock. Keepsake? Lily, crying pitifully, hid behind him. Sam, I swear I didn't know this was Ruby's father's keepsake. If I had known, I wouldn't have dared wear it even if you gave me 10 lives. Shaking like a leaf, Lily clung to Sam as he gently patted her shoulder to comfort her. Then, he took the bracelet off and handed it back to me. Ruby, calm down. It's just a bracelet, it's meant to be worn. I'll buy you a few identical ones, okay? As for your dad, yeah, that was my bad. But this is the company's year-end party. Don't make a scene. His eyes carried a veiled threat. I took the bracelet and stepped back. No need. All I ever wanted was this bracelet. From now on, whatever you and your childhood sweetheart do is none of my business. Sam was stunned and asked, Ruby, what do you mean? Before I could reply, Lily clutched her chest and slowly sank to the floor. Sam, my heart hurts. Sam, panicked, scooped her up and shouted at me, whatever it is, we'll talk later. With that, he carried Lily away, leaving without a second thought. I stood there, smiling faintly. Sam, there is no later for us. Chapter 6. I had been with Sam for 10 years. When he started his company, I worked tirelessly by his side. At the peak of our love, he gave me 10% of the company's shares. But now, no one in the company even knew I was a shareholder. From beginning to end, all I ever did was the most menial and thankless work. I sold the shares and boarded a plane. After landing, I called my mother back home. I told her everything about Sam's new fling and about our breakup. Mom, once I've settled in this new place, I'll bring you here so I can take care of you. My mother, furious on the other end of the line, started yelling, break up? Are you stupid? Sam is rich now, and you're leaving him? After letting him have you for 10 years? Who's going to want you now? Listening to her harsh words, I stood frozen for a long time before finally asking hoarsely, Mom, even if he has a mistress, even if he's with another woman and still refuses to marry me, do you really think I should shamelessly cling to him? My mother's voice was firm and unyielding. Yes, you should stay with him for the rest of your life. Ruby, my dear daughter, this is what you deserve. You've been with him for 10 years. You've spent the best years of your youth on him, and now you want to leave him when he's at his richest? Just to let another woman take your place? Are you stupid? Your brother is getting married, and his fiancé is asking for 300,000 yuan as a dowry. Look at our family's situation. Where could we possibly get that kind of money? This has to rely on Sam. Can't you endure a little longer? For your mother and your brother? I could afford that money myself, but why should I bear the weight of everyone else's lives? In that moment, I realized something with absolute clarity. My mother would never stand by my side. I hung up the phone. For now, I wouldn't contact her again. I carefully chose a small but well-known town as my destination. It was currently the off-season for tourism, so the place wasn't crowded. I rented a house with a small courtyard. Here, I didn't need to worry about work, didn't have to obsess over Sam's opinions, and no longer had to drain myself emotionally. I noticed that my state of mind was visibly improving by the day. I was genuinely satisfied with my life now. A week after moving in, Sam called. His tone was slow and condescending. Ruby, is it really necessary to blow things out of proportion over something so small? You cleared out everything, leaving nothing behind. As if you're really serious about this. We've been together for 10 years, not 10 days. I know you're upset about your dad's passing and about Lily wearing your bracelet. Come back, and Lily and I will both apologize to you. But, just so you know, she's been in the hospital for several days because of this. You should show a little more compassion. Are you done? Now it's my turn. I stayed silent until he finished speaking. We've been together for 10 years. I started dating you when I was 23. Back then, I had my own name and identity. But over time, I became invisible in the eyes of the company. Lily has always mattered more than me. That little notebook in the drawer of my dressing table? It's a gift from your childhood sweetheart. If it weren't for her, I would have never known that while we were splitting a single pack of instant noodles to get by, you were sending her monthly transfers like clockwork. These 10 years were my mistake. I was blind, and I accept that. I sincerely wish you and your childhood sweetheart a lifetime of happiness. Sam, don't contact me again. You disgust me. I hung up the phone, deleted his number, and blocked him. I felt lighter than ever. Chapter 7. For over a month, as I rested and recovered, Sam never contacted me again. I thought Sam had finally given up. Until one early morning, my mother called me in tears, begging me to go back to Sam. Sam truly cares about you, even in his busy schedule. He made time to visit our house. He's taken care of your brother's wedding expenses and even left money for the family. How can you not see such a good man? Sam said he's worried about you and promised that if you come back, he'll act like nothing ever happened. I was shaking with anger. I was furious at Sam for his shamelessness, using money to manipulate my family. I was furious at my mother for treating me like I was nothing, ready to sell me out in an instant. Clenching my teeth, I replied firmly, word by word, you can give up on that idea. There's no way I'll ever get back with Sam in this lifetime. If you're so desperate to climb that ladder, then send your son. Maybe he'll catch Sam's attention. My mother had remarried, bringing my 2-year-old brother into the marriage with my father. When I was born later, most of her affection stayed with my brother. When my brother struggled in school, my mother spent large sums on tutoring for him. But when I wanted a new school uniform, I had to plead repeatedly. This favoritism continued well into my college years. My mother even tried to set me up with a divorced factory manager in his 30s, insisting I marry him so they could use the money to fund my brother's retake of his exams. It wasn't until my father erupted in anger that my mother's increasingly outrageous behavior was curbed. But now, at 33 years old, I found myself once again facing the reality of being sold off by my family. This time, I simply blocked my mother's contact entirely. My landlord, a kind older woman, noticed that I hadn't left the house in days, worried something might have happened to me. She started knocking on my door every day. She mentioned that a lantern festival was happening nearby. Left with no choice, I reluctantly agreed to go. The lively scenes and the festive atmosphere instantly lifted my gloomy mood. The small ancient town had become bustling, drawing its largest crowds during the festival. Unfortunately, this also attracted petty criminals. By the time I realized my phone was missing, the first round of fireworks had already ended. Panicked, I chased after the thief, but the cunning pickpocket disappeared into the crowd in the blink of an eye. Standing helpless at a busy intersection, I approached a park administrator for help. Half an hour later, a tall man dressed in black, with a mask covering his face, appeared holding my phone. Excuse me, is this your phone? Overjoyed, I nodded repeatedly, tears of relief streaming down my face. When I reached out to grab it, the man dodged slightly. Then, in a deep, magnetic voice, he said, "Tell me the password first, otherwise, I can't be sure it's yours." I quickly blurted out 4 numbers. The man entered the code correctly and handed the phone back to me. "Thank you so much." Holding my recovered phone tightly, I thanked him profusely. I wanted to treat him to a meal as a token of gratitude. But before I could say anything, he waved me off and walked away. I thought I wouldn't see him again. But the next morning, I discovered that the man had moved into the house next door. Chapter 8. When the man took off his mask, a handsome face was revealed. He looked strangely familiar. It wasn't until later that I realized he was a well-known singer-songwriter named Eric. He had come to the small town seeking inspiration. The next morning, I went hiking at dawn and ran into Eric again. This time, he was in a sorry state, shivering in a small pavilion on the mountain, nearly frozen. He must have spent the night up there. I called for help to carry him down the mountain, That incident brought us closer. We eventually exchanged contact information and started planning outings together. But my peaceful days didn't last long. Sam called my new number. Ruby, I brought mom and your brother here. When can you come back to meet them? 30,000 yuan is no small sum for mom. If we can't repay it, she could go to jail. I hadn't expected Sam to sink even lower than I thought possible. Suppressing my anger, I replied, I'll pay you back right now. Let them go, or I'll call the police. Sam refused, his tone turning pitiful. Ruby, can't you just meet me once? I know you understand, I just want to see you. If you come back and meet me, I won't ask for the money. If you don't like Lily, I'll fire her. I promise I'll never see her again. I firmly told him I would repay the money but wouldn't meet him. You're heartless. Sam spat. Soon after, Sam posted about a wedding on his social media, using a photo of me as his profile background. To make matters worse, my mother and my half-brother also began announcing the news online. Every day, I was flooded with messages from friends congratulating me. It was only then I realized Sam's twisted plan to create the illusion of a wedding and drag me into it. Left with no choice, I spent hours explaining the situation to my friends over and over again. Chapter 9. With no other option, I packed my things and returned home. Before leaving, I told Eric about it. After I landed, Eric texted me. What's the address? I could use a change of scenery too. I hesitated but eventually sent him the location. Seeing Sam again, I barely recognized him. He looked thinner, more haggard, as if the vitality had drained out of him. When Sam saw me, his face lit up, and he eagerly moved closer. I stepped aside, avoiding him, and looked at him with disgust. Say what you need to say and get it over with. Sam looked utterly heartbroken. Ruby, do you really have to talk to me like this? I truly want to make things right with you. I want to apologize. Can't you give me one more chance? I laughed bitterly, anger coursing through me. Sam, you're unbelievable. Do you know how many chances I've already given you? And every single time, you've proven that you never cared about me. Enough. I don't want to argue about the past. Just delete all those ridiculous posts on your social media, or I'll report you to the police for harassment. Sam didn't respond to my demand directly. Instead, he stood up and poured me a cup of jasmine tea. My love, this is your favorite tea. These past few weeks, I've been reflecting on everything. I realized that ever since I started the company, I've been so busy that I've hardly paid you any attention. Back then, you loved this tea. Every morning before work, I would make you a cup. But over time, I stopped doing it as often. I miss those times so much. My love, just take one sip. Even if we part ways, I hope you'll at least drink this tea I made for you. I stared at him, my tone sharp. If I drink this, will you delete all that nonsense on your social media? Sam nodded, his eyes filled with feigned sincerity. I picked up the tea and drank it all in one gulp. But within moments, my head began to feel heavy, and a wave of dizziness washed over me. Realizing what was happening, I glared at Sam, horrified. You put something in this, didn't you? Sam scooped me up in his arms and carried me toward the master bedroom. I struggled with all my might, but my body felt weak and unresponsive. Ruby, stop wasting your energy. Once you're pregnant, I'll let you go. If you're carrying my child, you won't leave me. My chest tightened as a chilling fear gripped me. Sam, you're insane. Yes, I am insane, Sam admitted with a twisted smile. My love, I can't bear to lose you. He kissed my face repeatedly. I turned away with all the strength I could muster. Don't touch me. Sam paused and gently stroked the hair by my face. All right, I won't touch you. When the custom ring arrives, we'll get married. Chapter 10. In the days that followed, Sam was busy planning an indoor wedding for me. I was utterly disgusted and desperately sought opportunities to escape, but every attempt to communicate or reason with him failed. I knew then that nothing would change if I relied on Sam. Fortunately, a turning point came soon. Sam left to discuss the details of the custom ring and wouldn't be back for a while. Around noon, the door opened, and in walked Lily, dressed seductively. We stood there staring at each other for a moment. Eventually, Lily and I struck a deal. I would leave before Sam returned. But Sam had hidden my phone and ID. Wearing only slippers, I ran as fast as I could toward the police station. The police took my statement and asked me to contact someone to pick me up. Looking at the phone, my mind raced. I couldn't call my mother, and most of my friends were still connected to Sam. After some hesitation, I decided to call Eric. My voice trembled as I explained everything. On the other end of the line, I heard the rustling of movement. "Wait there, I'm changing my flight right now. I'm coming." When I finally saw Eric, I broke down completely, throwing myself into his arms and sobbing uncontrollably. These past few days, locked up by Sam, with no electronic devices or anyone to talk to, I had felt like I had been transported from the modern world back to the Stone Age. The police acted quickly. When Sam, panicked, rushed back, he was immediately arrested. As they dragged him away, his bloodshot eyes glared at me fiercely. "Ruby! Ruby!" I stood behind Eric, unwilling to look at him again. The evidence found in Sam's house was damning, and his charges of unlawful imprisonment were indisputable. During the time Sam was detained, my mother came to find me. Her first words weren't about my well-being. Instead, she demanded I write a letter of forgiveness for Sam. "Ruby, how can you be so naive? A man like Sam is a rare find. You'll never meet someone like him again. He only locked you up because you wanted to leave him. Isn't that proof enough that he loves you? Hurry up and write that letter." His lawyer said if you agree to settle this peacefully, there's still hope for you too. He loves you, he won't hold a grudge against you. My mother, pleading with me to forgive the man who had hurt me, made me feel nothing but bitter laughter. This woman, my own mother, could say such things. I looked at her and said, "Mom, have you forgotten? I'm your real daughter." She frowned. "It's because you're my daughter that I'm thinking about your future." I shook my head, unwilling to argue further. "Leave everything you've said, let's just pretend it was nonsense." My mother tried to hit me, just like when I was a child. But Eric, who had been silent until now, stepped forward and shielded me. My mother stumbled backward and eventually left, cursing under her breath. Sam refused to plead guilty and hired a lawyer to fight me in court. Not long after, Lily came to me with a medical report, begging me to let Sam go. "The baby needs a father. Ruby, please, let Sam go. I'll keep him under control. I promise he'll never bother you again." I shook my head firmly. I don't believe any child would want a criminal for a father. "While it's still early, I suggest you terminate the pregnancy." Lily refused, insisting that she and Sam were in love and accusing me of ruining their relationship. Snarling, she shouted, "Ruby, I regret ever opening that door for you that day. I should have let you stay locked up." I realized then that there was no point in talking to her. Whatever happened to her in the future was no longer my concern. I kicked Lily out of my life. 2 months later, the case progressed, with overwhelming evidence against him. Sam lost the trial. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, along with monetary compensation. At the sentencing, Sam suddenly shouted my name. I didn't look back. Outside the courtroom, Eric stood waiting, dressed entirely in black, as always, with a mask covering his face. I chuckled. "Are you out of clothes, Mr. Famous Singer?" Eric glanced at me briefly, then lowered his head. After a moment, I heard his soft, magnetic voice carried by the wind. "I have plenty. I'll wear something else when we get back, just for you." Chapter 11, Sam's Side Story. Due to good behavior during my sentence, I was released a year early. Over these 4 years, Lily visited often during the first year, her pregnant belly prominent. But after I signed over the company to her, her visits became less frequent. By the 3rd and 4th years, she stopped coming altogether. I had an inkling of what had happened, and I stopped expecting anything from her. On the day of my release, an old friend came to pick me up. He threw an arm around my shoulder, saying he wanted to treat me to a meal and help me ward off bad luck. After 4 years, the bustling streets felt overwhelming. Sitting in a hot pot restaurant, I felt awkward, my reactions slow and out of sync. My friend sighed, pouring me a drink. Now that you're out, just live an honest life. And about your company, forget it. That Lily? She can't compare to even a single finger of Ruby's. That company's bankrupt now. They couldn't even pay the employees' salaries. I heard she fled abroad. I froze for a moment. It wasn't surprising. Really, I could have predicted this outcome. Lily was foolish and arrogant. I had given her the company as a foundation, thinking it would provide her and my child some stability. I asked my friend, "What about Lily's child?" My friend looked confused. "What child? She didn't have any, unless you're talking about the dozen or so college boys she's been keeping." I felt like I'd swallowed a sharp bone. Lily had lied to me. The TV in the hot pot restaurant was playing a variety show. On the screen, I saw Ruby with Eric, the singer. Ruby was lying on a hammock, relaxing, while Eric bustled around, cooking. My friend glanced at the screen and sighed. Ruby got lucky, married a celebrity, heard his family's wealthy too. Back when you were sentenced, it was this guy who helped her out. But, well, you wasted 10 years of her life. Neither of you owes the other anymore. If you hadn't been so scheming, this could have been you and Ruby living a good life together now. I listened to his words, staring at the warm, happy scene on the screen, and clenched my fists tightly. Who would know how much I regret it? Every single day, I regret that one wrong choice, losing my career, and losing the woman I loved. Maybe I deserve all of this. Chapter 12. It took Eric and me a year to get together. Sam's actions had left me with deep psychological scars. Even though I knew Eric had feelings for me, I didn't dare to accept his advances too quickly. Perhaps Eric understood the lingering impact of my previous relationship, so he never pressured me for an answer. Aside from his work, he would coincidentally appear at various tourist spots where I happened to be. What a coincidence. Seeing his calm and composed expression, I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Coincidence? For the past 6 months, no matter where I went, Eric would show up within 3 days. Anyone else would think he'd planted a tracker on me, but, of course, he hadn't. Eric simply paid extra attention to my whereabouts. It was the Chishi festival, and the entire scenic area was filled with a romantic atmosphere. A little girl selling flowers looked up at us with wide, innocent eyes and said timidly, "Big brother, buy a flower for your girlfriend." Eric reached out and gently ruffled her hair. "She's not my girlfriend yet." Then, he picked a fresh, dewy rose from her basket, scanned the QR code to pay, and handed it to me. But it's important to give flowers during the pursuit phase. I couldn't help but smile. He always seemed to have a way with words. The little girl, her big eyes filled with anticipation, looked at me expectantly. I arched an eyebrow, then bent down to buy another rose. "Here, a gift in return." Eric lowered his gaze slightly, his tone soft. "Thank you, I like it very much." At 7 o'clock, fireworks were scheduled to light up the sky at the Lover's Bridge. An elderly man, rowing a boat nearby, chuckled warmly and said, "This Lover's Bridge is magical. If two people who are truly connected in their hearts stand on the bridge and make a wish, they'll be together forever." As the fireworks bloomed in the night sky, I quietly hooked my pinky around Eric's. I raised my voice and asked, "Do you want to make a wish?" Eric closed his eyes, and in the moment his eyes shut, I rose onto my tiptoes and kissed him. Chapter 13. My name is Eric. I'm a moderately well-known singer. The first time I saw Ruby, she was standing at an intersection, looking lost, like a stray kitten. Her tear-filled eyes shimmered, and it seemed like she was about to cry. I held the phone I had just wrestled back from a petty thief, even though I already knew it was hers. I couldn't help teasing her. "Enter the password first." Ruby's face lit up with joy as she thanked me repeatedly. I, on the other hand, found myself staring at her tear-streaked face. My fingers twitched, and it took all my restraint to suppress the urge to wipe away her tears. I never expected we'd end up living next door to each other. Maybe this was fate. Ruby seemed burdened by something. She often sat alone, lost in thought. But whenever I saw her figure, inspiration would flow through me like a river. I wrote a song about our encounter. We got along well, but her stay was all too brief. The day I planned to take her to see the local water splashing festival, she suddenly looked hurried and preoccupied. We exchanged contact information, and as I watched her leave, I silently wished for the chance to see her again. When I heard Ruby's uncontrollable sobs over the phone, I shot to my feet. "Where are you?" My manager jumped in surprise. I apologized to the recording team and rescheduled the session for another day. My manager looked at me in confusion. "Did something happen to your family?" I pressed my lips together. "No." "Then why are you rushing like this?" "It's not my family, it's my muse." My manager's expression shifted as realization dawned. "You mean that girl who inspired you? The one your new song is based on?" I nodded. He gave me a knowing smirk. "Should I start drafting the announcement of your relationship now?" I suppressed the flutter in my chest. "There will be a time for that." There would be. "Eric, is it ready yet?" "I'm hungry," a soft, teasing voice called out behind me. I smiled and plated the food from the pot. "Coming. 2 people, 3 meals, 4 seasons." I had won the favor of my muse.